Squishy Vision, where I have forgotten to do anything that I should have done. Alexa, volume 0. I thought we were like doing well. Hello, welcome to Squishy Vision, where I've just finished watching Skeleton Crew. All of it, but specifically I'm talking about episode 8, The Real Good Guys. And oh boy, was that disappointing. I'm genuinely. I was thinking earlier, I think out of a lot of the Star Wars shows recently, this has been by far my favourite thing. It delivered on the promise of the premise, for the most part. It was funny, it was adventurous, it made me feel joy, it was well acted, there was nuance, there was mystery but not too much complexities. It like hit the beats it needed to hit, and it didn't overstretch itself, but it wasn't afraid of taking subversions. And then we got this episode, and don't get me wrong, it's not all terrible. I mean, the brilliant acting is still there, the visuals are still there, the heart is more or less still there. There were some okay twists, but it just fell flat. It was lackluster. Okay, let me talk about the one interesting thing first, because I don't want to forget later on and make it sound like I absolutely detest this episode. Was it even that? I'm not sure. So I still think okay, look, either they've written Judd in a very clever way, or they've written Judd in a very not clever way, and it's that kind of horseshoe effect. So I'm not sure if they've got like if there's like stuff you can dig into there that makes it a clever portrayal, or if I'm just projecting out of hope, because there's inconsistency in Judd's character, and if that's designed inconsistency, doing designed inconsistency is very hard, and it could very well be designed that he's meant to be this really complex, inconsistent character. You know, this one who's throughout most of the series has kind of treaded the line between what his true gender is, but really seems to generally, you know, I mean, his lies weren't even that grotesque. He never said he was true to form, true to what he says. He never admitted to being a Jedi. He just let the children believe that they were. Pretty open, straightforward in the third episode that he was after the treasure, but because getting the treasure meant getting the kids home, it kind of, you know, matched each other's agendas. The fact that he was going to occupy the planet was a late stage reveal. The fact that he was willing to kill, I mean, the first people he kills that we see clearly is his mutinous first mate. There's implications that he might have hurt other people, but that's not clear. He was willing to let people die, but he didn't kill anyone. He seemed to care for the characters, if the children, if not someone being somewhat awkward around them, you know. But then there was all this darkness. There was the fact that he was lying. There was the fact that he was willing to kill. There was the fact that he was willing to leave people behind. That he was very he cared a lot about his self-interest over other people. It was a mixture, and it was a mixture that made me feel like there was like this character was like there was some like realism, there was some complexities. That it wasn't like real people aren't one thing or another, and this character was that. And then the reveal the kind of twist in the last episode where we see this objectively much more villainous portrayal was done well because of that build-up, and it kind of helped. Everyone on Twitter was like, "Oh, we've finally seen the true colors. You know, we finally see what his character's like." And like the character goes brutal. Like he kills Brutus. He threatens the children quite violently. There's a more darker look in his face. And then in this episode, so this is what's either interesting or bad writing, and I can't tell which one it is. Because throughout this episode, there are plenty of times where he could have killed, maybe not the children, either because of genre awareness and, you don't kill children in family shows, or because, even in universe, there is like an objectively a line you cross between killing adults and killing children, But there's plenty of opportunities where he could have easily killed any of the adults, and he didn't. In any of his show, I would say it was incompetence. He could have easily have shot them a whole bunch of times. He could have shot them in revenge at the end, even after they won. But he just threw his weapon away, and there were people on Twitter like his whole "I don't want to kill people" was actually genuine. But also earlier on, he tells the pirates to make examples of anyone who do fight back, and I think there's only one way you can really interpret instructions of making examples of people. I mean, I suppose it could have been torture and pain and abuse, but you're leaving it too open-ended where you're kind of culpable. So it's kind of really unclear what Jod's whole deal is. In a way which would be interesting, but the fact is, for it to be interesting, it kind of needs to land. You can't float in ambiguity perpetually, and especially if the show is a single limited series, so I have to assume everything that we have seen is everything we're going to get. There's no momentum established for a second series. If we did, it'd be telling a second story. People are always oh, maybe the mysteries are hooks for second season. So the difference between a plot hook for a second season and a cliffhanger. I'm pulling a random shot out of my head. No reason why, just random shot off my head. How to Get Away with Murder. No spoilers here. How to Get Away with Murder. Well, story layout spoilers, but not actually plot points. Ends in a cliffhanger. And it ends in a cliffhanger in such a way that the story is kind of unfulfilled. It's not finished. You're not meant to watch the first. It goes straight into series 2. That's not to say, obviously, when you're writing TV, you don't have self-contained stories. Every episode should be a self-contained story. Every episode is a beginning, middle, end. But then you can also make your entire season a beginning, middle, end, and then your entire show a beginning, middle, end. Every part of a narrative has to have that 3-act structure, or 4-act, 5-act structure, whichever act structure you subscribe to. But yeah, that's a show that has a continuous narrative. We're not, people still are growing in the second season. This show, both because I know it was how it was designed, but also because of the way it's been written, the way it's been shown, is a self-contained story. If we do a season 2, it's a different story. Even if it narratively continues, it's a different story. People need to realize the difference between the two things. And we don't get in this story why Jod is actually the way they are. And anything we do get will be in retrospect, and it would be a different story. It would be recontextualizing actions, but it's not this story. So in this story, Jod has been acting in a very weird way. And I can assume, because I know Star Wars lore, that this is probably because he is inherently a good person. He meets that stereotype, but he's also choosing to walk a very kind of nihilistic life, or whatever, opposite of idealism, I guess. Realism? I don't know. And we never get the narrative clarity on that, and that's the issue for me. Give me a second. Everything else in the episode, apart from the acting, which I still loved, everyone did such a good job. Probably not the best in the show, but still did a good job. I'm not gonna criticize it too much. And I'm gonna be I need to give the show its due, but everything else fell flat. It's hard to do tension in a show when things go consistently right for the characters. The problem is that it didn't escalate. We got given quite a high stakes situation at the end of the last. Even the cliffhanger, it makes sense in universe for Jod to pull out his lightsaber and ignite it to remind the kids of his threat, whilst all the while knowing that he was simply going to use it to convince the parents that he was the emissary. He wasn't going to like reveal himself. But realistically, that cliffhanger was meant to leave us with the feeling that he was about to go and slaughter the parents. So in a way, it's a cop out because it doesn't resolve the situation. It's a red herring cop out, and that's not a bad thing all the time, but it kind of gives you that perspective on the rest of the episode. There wasn't any people at risk. Were the civilians who were basically background characters who we don't, narratively care about. They're just set dressing, who were being threatened by the pirates. The real actual drama was for the kids, and even like the planets went like. Even if I approach this show from the perspective as Goonies in space, there's not that kind of height of adventure. They just for the most part, they go around their plan unheeded. Unimpeded, rather. Not unheeded. And it just kind of felt like, I'm trying to put a point here. There wasn't really that kind of like, I wasn't cheering them along because they weren't really like, they're all that like Wim's arc is about being a hero, and fair. Wim's kind of had his like hero point before. Fern's had her hero point before. KB's had her hero point before. Neil's had his hero point before. They've already all established themselves as having pushed themselves and grown as characters. So that moment isn't really left this episode. They're kind of doing stuff which really isn't actually a build upon of what they've done before. And that's kind of why it falls flat. It's not a bad episode. It's just not the best episode of the season. And to a degree, you need to, if you're not ending your show on a high, when it's such a great show, you leave people feeling flat. And that's basically what happened. Like, if this was like the middle episode, I'd be excited. If it was earlier on, even like near towards the end, fine. But this is what we ended on, and it kind of felt like, is this it? Where's the sparkle? Where's the pizzazz? Where's the twist? I mean, you don't really need a twist, but like, where is the sense of we were building up to something. What were we building up to? Everyone, and no one really seemed like that. What do I think of the pedestrianisation of Norwich City Centre? I don't think of it. I don't live in Norwich. I didn't even know they were doing it. I mean, pedestrianisation as a whole. I don't know. I'm kind of split on the whole idea. I mean, we do need to do something to make like I don't know. Really bad question. Yeah, what was I saying? Why did I let that derail me? I should have finished my point. Yeah, it was just really lackluster. And it felt like they were grasping what they were writing very well for the most part, which is why it's even more like, why did you drop the ball here? So, yeah, as a whole, as a show, almost one of my favorites. But they just didn't stick the landing. So, like, there was always build up that maybe Jod. I mean, it would have been equally bad if Jod turned out to be secretly good all along, unless they did it in a very, very clever way. But it would. I think what the best twist to the show would have been was actually good guys don't exist. That was where I was expecting it to go at one point, because Star Wars is already using the New Republic to criticize bureaucracy and like, oh, you didn't learn anything from what caused the rise of fascism, you're doing the same steps again. That's literally what the New Republic is meant to be. So the New Republic aren't good. They are a symptom of complacency. And if Jod kind of led into that, or if what we saw, like, if the New Republic came to the planet and immediately took control in a way which was equally oppressive, that would have been interesting. And that would have been interesting for Wim's character, who is keen on this belief that there are heroes. And when his hero figure of a Jedi, that's now been pulled under his feet. No one's corrected him about the fact that they were traitors was propaganda. So for all he knows, that's true. But now he's switched his kind of hero worship from the Jedi to X-Wing pilots. And that's been like a Chekhov's gun threaded throughout previous episodes. So then if we reveal that these soldiers of a new governing state were as equally controlling and challenging to people's ways of life, that would have been interesting. That's where they should have gone, I think, and they didn't. And it kind of, I was like, well, so yeah, that's my opinion on Skeleton Crew on the finale. We're doing so well, and yeah, I should go to bed because I gotta get to work. I got to go get to be work in like 6 hours. Well, I gotta get up to go to work in 6 hours, 5, 6 hours. And I'm exhausted because I barely slept last night. And I just did cycling for 40 minutes after doing martial arts for 1.5 hours, after cycling for another half an hour, after doing work for 2 many hours. Basically, I should not be here. So, thanks for tuning in. By not here, I mean doing the stream. Not that I should be dead. Although, get out of my house.